is, I dropped my phone. I'm on my way to work. I wasn't really doing much, but I'm on my way to work. So people, you know what I mean? Let's see what's been going on out there. For me, a couple updates. I've actually moved employments that I was at. Typical read where it was, but you know what I mean. But one thing I would say is, as I am on my way to work, right? Not to brag or boast or anything, but I would say it don't feel like I'm actually going into like a plantational type atmosphere. I say that. I was listening to the Jeremiah this morning, right? And reading it. And chapter 2, it's amazing to me how, like at the end of it, they was like in 25 and stuff like that. It's going on saying like how we'd rather have the foreigners around us or over us, you know what I mean? And with me going to work, right, or supposedly, one thing I notice is my question is like for people that have business that are YAHAWAH, right, or just so-called African American or black business people, right? Why don't you promote more of your business for your own people, right? The reason being because like when the scripture said that some strange people, you know what I mean? They're strangers, right? These people came, did whatever they did, right? They're strange people, so they don't have any knowledge, you know what I mean, of what we go through, situations that may occur, you know what I mean, the depths of things. They don't understand these things. They don't understand the way we talk and we speak, right? So we don't have a lot of gateways, you know what I mean? It's like there's a communication barrier. The energy is just not there, you know what I mean? And the love is not there. But if we would more businesses will promote themselves and hire their own people, then the employment would go better. You know what I mean? The work culture altogether would go better. You know what I mean? And I say that because, you know, in my years of working, I've always worked for the oppressor. You know what I mean? Whether the oppressor was Indian, European, it don't matter. You know, they still some type of way my oppressor, right? And it was always like, if I got a flat tire or if I knew I was gonna get a little late or whatever situation it is, I know that if they wasn't happy with it, whether they agreed or not, whether I had proof or not, at any moment they could just wipe their hands and then I'm out of a job, right? And but the experience of working with your own people, not just working, but the business being your own people, you know, that creates peace within your own self, because we know how the work environment can become, you know what I mean, in this captivity. You got people that are of our own that throw you under the bus for the oppressor and all of that stuff, you know what I mean? But that's why in Deuteronomy, what is that, like 17 and 15? It talks about, it tells us not to put a foreigner over us. You know what I mean? And we understand like we in captivity. So so of course we can honestly say we can't really, I mean, we can't do anything about that. You know what I mean? But just to put something in maybe your ear, right? Think about the profession of work that you do. You know what I mean? and then think about other avenues. Try searching. Go through. Look, listen. Everybody use AI. You know what I mean? No matter what kind of AI it is, Gemini, ChatGPT, it don't matter. Use them same things to try to find areas around you. Hey, ask them, hey, whatever. Give me listings of African American or black owned businesses around me in the profession of whatever it is. Maybe it's business, what kind of business? Something simple, landscaping. You never know. Whatever it is, you know what I mean? Hospitality, real estate, you know, whatever it is. Daycare, I don't know. Try to find businesses. They're around, you know, that are subliminal. I mean, more particularly your people. Why? Simply because they can understand better. You know what I mean? You have a better work atmosphere. We have to understand the foreigners have been sitting around us and they not letting, you know, and we have to try to find a way to escape them. I'm not saying it's going to be possible for everybody to find a business, you know what I mean, that they want to work for. That's an area, but that's because they've created skills and changed times and stuff, you know what I mean, and a way that, wow, I can't even. Okay, so I was just at the tire place, right? I don't know, I think I gotta put this video back up. I was giving my little story about how I should have listened to the warning my wife was giving me about the tire, right? But as we was at the tire place, and the guy, you know, that was taking care of me, he was like, I didn't tell him my car, you know what I'm saying? I didn't tell him the name of it or anything, but I guess he seen me coming out of it. And he named it all off, and I was like, wow. And I thought to myself, now, that's not like a gift given, but it's like created and allowed things to happen, but he didn't. I don't think he desired for man to have these type of things, cars and stuff. And when you think about stuff like this, I ain't saying it's wicked, whatever, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to. But when you think about how much, like when in Daniel it said that he would change times, right? And we think about like how the time systems are, right? Certain professions go out the window. You know what I mean? Like, think about like back in ancient times, a person might get paid to be what they call, well, that's the Greek term, maritime, but basically a messenger, you know what I mean? Go run across and go, you know what I mean? But it was a time frame, you know what I mean, that it would be done in. And they speeded up the time, right? So professions and certain things have been kind of morphed, so to speak, right? So with that being said, I would say find something that you like to do that's with you inside of your job, build more on it, and then try to find those specific things that are solely owned by your people. They can, you know what I mean? Like for instance, our oppressor don't know anything. You know, it says, the scriptures tell us, they won't say it to restore. You know what I mean? So our oppressor, the people that you work for, they're not gonna be worried about if you need a raise. They don't care how hard you work. They don't care how dependable you are. But if you get into an atmosphere where they maybe stand it, you know what I mean? It could work out like you're more in servitude to a brother, you know what I mean? Which is no problem, you know what I mean? And they would understand as well. It'd be more like a family type thing, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, as I'm on my way to work, you know, I thought to myself, damn, I am going to work, but it don't seem as much as work. It just seems like I'm going to help my brother. You know what I'm saying? A brother make ends, and he's gonna give me, you know what I'm saying, my portion, right? And then also think of this, for you people out there that are able to have businesses, right, that are tour based or have, you know, ways to for other people to make money. Think about the scripture where the scriptures dang, I don't remember where it's at, but I think it is in Leviticus or Deuteronomy, one of those. It's in the law portion, where it talks about how we, if a man works, you're not supposed to wait to give him the money. You're supposed to give it to him daily. You know what I mean? And that would also help us in the tour. I mean, help being in the tour, I should say, and transferring our business and stuff as tour based. It can help us more. You know what I mean? For instance, for people that used to hustle, right? It was different. It was kind of different when, my bad, there was some weird stuff going on with my car. But when we was in the streets, for instance, right? It seemed weird when you finally got a job and you had to wait for that paycheck. You felt like you had to, you know what I mean? Money was more spent faster, you know what I mean? Or you couldn't, you know how it is. Now, when we think about why, it's because the monetary, we know that these people, they change all type of times. So for people that's able to have businesses that's tour based, start trying to have a program to where you're, or you know, the paying system to where you're paying your people daily. You know what I mean? It ain't like y'all don't get tax write-offs and all of that stuff for it anyway, right? But I say that I wanted to say all that to try to encourage other people. You know, try. I know you may not want to, but there's no harm in trying to find people in that's your people in the same profession that you are in, that already have a business. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure they've been a part of the same struggles that you have. You know, that would also help you to be more understanding to your people, you know what I mean, Israelites and stuff of that nature. You know, you'll be able to understand, have more understanding more, and understand that people will care to understand you, you know what I mean? Basically, understand that you have a voice. And that's the thing when we're around the oppressor. You gotta understand, you don't really have a voice where you're at. Well, his will, you don't know about me. I'm a this and this and this at my job. I get paid this much amount of money. Right. But that profession that you got, once you take time and try to invest more thought process in it, and if you're in a position, like say if you're a plant manager of some sort, you know what I mean, find the blueprint down pat to where, like, how to distribute the product, things like that, and start to invest in your own self. Start spreading your knowledge to your people. You know what I mean? So you can get away from the oppressor, the foreigner being over you. You know what I mean? It ain't a person is like, you ain't, how can you give me advice like that when you work for somebody? Well, I'm working for a brother. I'm working for our people. You know what I mean? And come with that, it comes, well, if you love your people and you understand, like, where I know some things happen, then they would have understanding. They would give you understanding. For instance, chance after chance. You know, I didn't had numerous things happened to me since I kind of started the job. It wasn't like nothing really bad, but it was enough to where if these events happened to me while I was working for the oppressor, I wouldn't have had a job. you know, but there was honest mistakes or honest things that just happened that I had no control over. You know what I mean? But, you know, Yahweh will lead you to that part if you seek for it. You know what I mean? Like I said, go look. Hey, I mean, I know it might be hard to research, but AI can give you something. Hey, what's the black-owned businesses around me and upholstery or whatever it is? You know what I mean? The industry, whatever. Reach out to them. You know what I mean? Show them not only that the profession that you do, you know what you're doing, but because you know how us as a people are. When we have something that's our passion, we take it to the max. You know what I mean? So, we take it to the max. So a lot of people may not feel what I'm saying, but if you want to get away from the oppressor, then there's nothing wrong with trying to even. I'm not telling you quit your job. That is not what I'm telling you to do. Because I did not quit my job in order to get where I was at. You know what I mean? I could have been a manager. You know what I'm saying? All of that type of supervisor, all that. But I want to be that stuff for the oppressor. Now, hypothetically, you get into a business that's your people, right? And you're able to build upon their business by giving them advice, showing them, you know what I'm saying, putting stuff in places where it can help the company, right? You never know. You never know what would happen. You're dealing with our people, you know what I mean? You never know what happened, but you know what won't happen. You can put 10 times of work, 10 times effort of work into what you do, and the oppressor might tell you good, but they're gonna expect 15%. You know what I mean? Afterwards, they expect you just get, you know what I mean, with no benefits out of the deal. You know what I mean? So, and to be honest with you, it's peaceful. You know what I mean? Our people, we know how it is to have somebody always being over them. You know what I mean? Looking to see them. You know what I mean? We need to have more trust with each other. And going to businesses like that, it will make you think more about, you know, what you're going to do before you do it. Will it help you and the people around you, or is it just going to help you? You know, all type of things. Right? Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a quick second. Alright, there we go. Alright, there we go. My bad, y'all. So, remember, you know, read the book of Jeremiah, bro. Especially all of it, but if you when you get to 2, you start to see, you know, like, man, why do y'all want to be around them when you have opportunities? You know what I mean? And that's the thing, in this captivity, we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to get away from these people. You know what I mean? It's slight. You might be able to get away from them for a little bit, but you can still get away from them. You know, it takes time. Just do research while you're at work, while you're at home. Just try to find, okay, for instance, me, this is what I did while I was in hospitality, right? I learned a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? I learned it, and then when I seen it was like, yeah, it's time, there's something better, I gotta do something better. You know, even though they was even though a person could try to hold like some promise over you, you know what I mean? You can't trust in man. You gotta trust in Yahweh, you know what I mean? You trust in Yahweh, your mind won't be clear, so you can see the witchcraft, the little sorcery, and mind games that they're gonna do to you, you know what I mean? But like I said, you know, I was like, alright, well, I'm gonna look for something else. And at first I was still looking for hotel jobs, you know what I mean? I'm a supervisor, whatever. whatever. I'm a manager, supervisor. And I guess Yahweh has something different because, you know, actually the company found me that I work for, and just so happened to be our people. But in the midst of that now, I feel more at peace. I don't have to worry about, you know what I mean, somebody switching up on, you know, those type of things. Why? Because our people, if we would just try to be around each other, you know what I mean, then we would try to trust each other more. You know what I mean? And now, even though I don't trust any man like that, but I gotta put my trust in this brother enough to know that I can talk to this brother and say, hey, look, this and this and this gonna be happening this week. Now you know what I mean? Can you, and then know, well, I'm not gonna lose my job because this person there is I've showed them, our people gonna be patient with you. Just try it out, bro. Most of our people that got their own businesses, to be honest with you, they probably already been through what we went through in our workplace. That's why I was like, man, I gotta do this myself. You know what I mean? Be upfront with it, though. Be upfront with it. You know what I mean? That can help us, bro. That can really help us. And then as you're in the business, you go promote the business, and you know what I'm saying? No one man is an island, bro. We gotta start somewhere. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you know, when I go into the scriptures and I see how these people have treated us, we want to be joined to them. You know, we are supposed to come back to our own people, and that's part of doing that, or at least trying to get back to your people while they get back to their people. How do you do that? You try finding ways to get away from them. And have an idea. Maybe you ain't thought about it. But start thinking about what do you actually like in the job that you're at right now, the experience that you have. What can you do to consolidate that specific thing that you like to do, and go and fill out applications for those things. And then when you think about those things that you could do, now try to focus those things on being black owned, so-called black owned, right? You may not be the HNIC at this moment, but you can also wind up branching off. You know what I'm saying? Ask them, hey, what did you do? How you going? You know what I mean? And they'll probably help you out, show you what as well. You know what I'm saying? I know you heard me saying, scratch my back, I scratch yours. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I almost missed my turn, dude. Yeah, man. It's a blessing to. Now the brother may not be in the truth, right? That's where I come in at. You know what I mean? That's where I come in at. Speaking to him. Remember one thing, bro. The people that followed Yahweh and were dedicated and loyal to him, they all most of the time they always winded up in positions of favor, right? And yeah, in places of favor, and was able to live better than the rest of the people that was, you know what I'm saying, in captivity because they just wanted to serve idols. Remember that, bro. And you can take that knowing that Yahweh can help you and use you. Get to the people though that might be more understandable if you can. You know what I mean? I don't know if people would see that, you know, when the Most High, when Yahweh commanded us, what, Deuteronomy 17:15, Don't be putting people that's foreigners over us, that we did it anyway. It trickles all the way down now to our lifestyle, the way that we live, and if and whether we can get away from them now or not. We can if we try. It might take some time. And I'm not saying that this is what I did. I didn't do this purposely. I didn't purposely try to find somebody that was our people. You know what I mean? I did not do that. That's not what I'm saying. But now that it's been done, I'm giving y'all the idea to try to find it. Try to find businesses with our people. They're there. They're there. And if you live in an area where it ain't really your people there, then try to do the next, you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure it's, you know what I mean? That type thing. Anaya said, Daniel was an example of that. Yeah, he was a perfect example. And on top of that, if we would understand that the prophets, everybody that Yahweh used, they did not desire to be the nigga in charge of everything. They just wanted the best for their people, and they wanted their people to be dedicated to the Most High and do what he said do. Don't do the opposite. He's seen the power of obedience. You know what I mean? So if you get this message, you know what I mean, if you get this video, maybe it might be, it's possible for you to go and find people, your people, area. You know, think of experiences and what you do. If, like, say, if you're an order packer, you know what I mean? It's all about wordplay with these people. You know what I'm saying? So, say if you were a cashier before, right? Don't go put cashier somewhere. Put customer assistance. You know they get paid more, right? If you were an inspector at a, you know what I'm saying, at a place that do air conditioners or something, you know what I'm saying? You don't just say you was an inspector. You tell them your next job, you know that you have quality assistance. That's a better pay. It's just a different word. And you're gonna have to learn the process, but you got that. Yahweh will give you wisdom. Remember, you're smarter than all of these people that walk around you. They look smart. They look so delicate, but that's the problem. From the days of old, we always looked towards something that had nothing to do with us. You know what I mean? We wanted that thing to be a part of us, and always, what did it always wind up doing? Being over us. Get back to your people. Nation, not desire. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Another thing, awesome. Let me. Oh damn! Did I thought I got my tour with me. Let me see if I got it. Give me a second. All right. Let me see. I'm over here driving and stuff. No. Lost via offerings. Inheritance tied to. I wish I knew what page it's on for the law of strangers. I mean, it is Deuteronomy 17 and 15 for sure, but kind of give an insight, because we do know that they even go against their own self. They go against Deuteronomy 24:4. Watch this. This is what our oppressor do. This is why we got to get away from them, because we know that they do this, and our people would not try to do this to us. Listen, Deuteronomy 24:14. Do not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy of your brothers or the strangers who is in your land within your gates. We know these people will treat you all type of way, treat you worse than crap at work. You know what I mean? Oppress you, and still they'll oppress you mentally, and then make you, you know, you want to go home. You're tired of this. You're tired. You just want to go home. They're going to give you more hours, and then they'll tell you, hey, the money's good though. You know what I mean? I'm going to be safe tonight. You know, so at Deuteronomy 24:14, they go against that, right? Oh, okay. This is the whole law on the servants. How about this? This is slavery right here, which has still been done. Exodus 21:20 through 21, right? And when a man smites his male or female servant with a rod, so that he dies under his hand, he shall certainly be avenged, right? But if he remains alive a day or two, he is not avenged, for it is property. We know these people done killed us over labor. You know what I mean? I mean literally wiped us out over labor. You know what I mean? Being they servants, being they slaves, they done literally killed us. Think about that. Now, if you can find some brothers that can help you run away and get out of that plantation, why won't you, like, think about it? You know what I mean? To be honest with you, I really don't want to work, period. If you can find brothers that can, you know what I mean, but they got to be your lane, then you do that too. Maybe they can create, maybe you can wind up creating businesses, you know what I mean, and help you and start inflate. You know, I don't mean to sound like, you know, preachy or trying to, come on, you guys, I'm just saying, you know, you want to get away from them. And we always like, damn, man, I got to go to the press. We got to go to the plantation. You know what I mean? You never know. You might get into a point where you're able to find a place with your people where you can tell them, hey, look, this month I could work these days. And you write them days off, the days that's Shabbat. If that's what you want to do, to be able to start, you know what I mean? If that's what you want to do. I'm not, you know, if that's what you want to do. But all in all, though, you know, I would say try with your best possibility to find your people, man. Don't try to keep the foreigners away from you. Try to keep the foreigners from over you, I should say. You know what I mean? Thus, therefore, then what you'll be able to do, you'll be able to keep another part of the law. Right? Dang, you hear that fast? Alright, well, I'm here at work, y'all. You know, make sure y'all take in consideration with what I'm saying. I don't expect to have all the answers. You know what I'm saying? I'm in this thing just like y'all. You know, but when you're thinking about Deuteronomy 17:15, and when you run across Jeremiah 2:25, you'll see that we always just desire to be around these people, you know what I mean? And they've always been our downfall. Hey, I pray the Most High blesses y'all and keep y'all in perfect peace. It's your brother, will. Another pellet not dead.